Good afternoon, everyone, and the hour being 5:30 on Tuesday, January 30th. I will now call the Public Works and Services Committee meeting to order. Mr. Christian, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alder Jones,
Present.
Alder Jarrett,
Present.
Alder Davis,
Present.
Alder Perez, excused, and Alder Kelly.
Present. Thank you. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from January 9th, 2024 meeting. Second. Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Davis to approve the minutes. Are there any corrections, additions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion passes. I have a little bit of a sore throat here this afternoon, so Assistant Commissioner Fritzloff has agreed to read the items for us this afternoon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 0059-24. Communication sponsored by Alder Paffrath on behalf of Dan Tebakowski. Thoughts for Food, requesting to close the 300 block of Hamilton Street from 6 p.m. on Saturday, March 2nd, 2024 to 2 a.m. on Sunday, March 3rd, 2024 for the 32nd annual Thoughts for Food. Staff recommendation that permission be granted to Thoughts for Food to close the 300 block of Hamilton to through traffic from 6 p.m. on Saturday, March 2nd, 2024 to 2 a.m. on Sunday, March 3rd, 2024 for the 32nd annual Thoughts for Food per the attached stipulations. Fiscal note, there will be nominal cost to various city departments on a regular basis to assist in implementing this event. I believe we have Mr. Gibson here to speak on it.
Yes, for those that might not be familiar. For those that might not be familiar, Thoughts for Food is a annual fundraiser for the Racine County Food Bank, which has raised over $600,000 and 122,000 pounds of food over the last 32 years. The street closure is only 1 block long. It is primarily commercial with parking lots for the established businesses, which are part of the venue on either side of the street. There's also food to be prepared and served outside. So ultimately, this is a major traffic route that will be closed, and it's something that's been done historically for the last few decades without much issue. Are there any questions?
Any questions from committee members? Thank you. Seeing none, then a motion will be in order. Second. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Davis to approve item 0059-24. No further questions. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your cooperation. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have item 0084-24, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason. On behalf of the Downtown Racine Corporation, requesting use of city right away for the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday, March 16th, 2024. Staff recommendation that permission be granted to the Downtown Racine Corporation to close Gaslight Drive from Lake Avenue to Main Street, Lake Avenue from 4th Street to Gaslight Drive, Main Street from State Street to 6th Street, 6th Street from Main Street to City Hall on Saturday, March 16th, 2024 for the St. Patrick's Day Parade for following tax stipulations. Fiscal note, there will be nominal cost to the various city departments on a regular shift basis to assist in implementing this event. I can take this one. I don't think there's anybody from the DRC here. This is an annual event that we put on. It was mildly complicated by the closure of the State Street Bridge, but we got all that worked out, and everything seems to be in order. So from a staff perspective, all the stipulations are in place. We're happy with the route. We're happy with the event. We recommend approval.
Thanks. Questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion will be in order. Second. Motion by Alder Garrett, second by Alder Kelly to approve item 0084. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is 0053-24, Mr. Fitzwater.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication from Alder Kelly and Mayor Mason requesting the city adopt a National Police Week resolution to fly the thin blue line flag upon the city of Racine's City Hall flagpole each day for the week in which May 15th falls each year. A recommendation that the city adopt a National Police Week resolution and fly the thin blue line flag upon the city of Racine City Hall flagpole each day for the week in which May 15th falls each year. Fiscal note, not applicable. And,
I brought this forward, resolution, this is a nationally recognized week. It's not only, recognized federally across the United States, but across, municipalities all across Wisconsin and the state of Wisconsin and Madison. So I just figured we should follow suit. It would help with morale and, just, overall, showing that we have support for them, so. And you, the mayor, would like to speak on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, members. As Alder Kelly had stated there, this is an important week to honor those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, not only across this country, but here in the city of Racine, we also honor that day. The flag, I think, would represent some support for the police department. I think it's something that John F. Kennedy started this back when he was president to honor law enforcement, all law enforcement officers. It does happen in many municipalities, not only here in Wisconsin, but across this nation, where police officers are honored. A lot of them have honor walls where they have where their loved ones have passed away, and by giving the ultimate sacrifice. And I think that Racine should continue that tradition. Last year they had a day of it where they had the flag go up, and I appreciate all the comments. As folks may have come.
Thank you. Don't we have a wall inside the police station with fallen off?
We do have a wall inside our lobby of part of our museum.
Any questions from committee members?
Yes, I do have a question. Chief, thank you so much for providing some background. I did do a little research because I'm not wasn't too familiar with the history of the flag. Quite frankly, I see more of like once those racial justice protests and stuff that happened that actually I saw the flag more often. In Madison, I just saw just one of the articles that the chief of police in Madison that she pretty much like did away with the thin blue flag, flag itself, on any kind of their uniforms or anything like that because it has been co-opted by some of the really right fringe groups. Is that something that we see here in Racine?
That has not occurred here in the city of Racine. I know what you're saying. That has been some departments authorization that attributed that flag to some sort of brutality based on the George Floyd incident that happened back in May of 2020. In the city of Racine, we do not have that here. We have a lot of support for the police department here. Unfortunately, those type of incidents haven't happened and obviously changed the world. I expect my officers and my officers don't operate in that way from the Department of Integrity.
And also with like January 6th was leaving that a lot too. So that's what I'm saying. I do understand and I do appreciate that Alder Kelly and the mayor had put this together. I know they do the proclamation every year, just the thin blue line, the flag itself, I think now it's well away from what it was originally intended, what my concern is. And I see on here that it's saying that it shall fly every year. I know like with the other flag that came for committee, we have to do like every year to get approval. Does this not do that? We have to have every year, we have to have approval to fly the thin blue line flag?
I'm going to defer that to Commissioner Rooney, because I think if we voted in the way it's worded, it would be continuous. Okay, you understand me, Commissioner Rooney?
Well, Madam Chair, I'd actually like to defer this to the attorney for this
comments. I drafted the resolution. I will make sure the flag goes up. Scott, let us know. How often we need to take back to committee to do so.
I've probably drafted every current flag resolution the city has. The pride flag has annually, there's been a declaration that includes pride flag being flown during Pride Month in June. We do have policies as to when flag is going to have staff and things like that. This would be the first resolution that the city passed that provided for an annual flying of the flag every year, sort of into perpetuity. It's certainly permitted. The resolution, I believe, is the appropriate path to it if the council wants to.
Additional question?
It does, Attorney Becky, thank you for that. I don't have an issue with the flag sign, as I said, some people. It stands for one thing to some people, it stands something else for others. That's my only concern, but I never want to kill something committee, so I do approve this. Hopefully someone picks it up, or if you have any questions during the council, you can do that as well, especially that we're doing this every year, and not bring it back to the committee to get approval every year.
And if I can just say one other thing, the actual resolution is attached. The resolution is very clear. It's in support of the police and wonderful police officers. And that's the statement the common council has to make. I mean, of course, I can change the language if you prefer to see something different, but that's what we do.
Okay, no, just wanted to some clarification, and I do, because the police station is right next to City Hall, so I think that will be a good, gesture. Again, I know some people, I just have concerns, but I saw it put in one way, but I did look at the history of it, how it was intended. It just got away, I guess, from the original intention. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. for that. Any further questions from committee members? Being none, and a motion will be in order.
Move to approve. Second.
Excuse me, motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jerry to approve item 0053 -24. Seeing no further questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Abstain.
Oh, excuse me, one abstention. The motion still passes. The next item is 0063-24. Mr. Control.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works submitting bid results for contract 2024-027 landfill services. That recommendation, that contract 2024-027 landfill services be awarded to Waste Management. The amount of $41 per ton municipal solid waste. They being the lowest responsive bidder. Funding is available in org object 14006-52215, waste disposal $575,000. The city did receive bids for landfill services at 10 o'clock on January 8th, 2024. The bid included disposal of approximately 28,000 tons of municipal solid waste at a registered landfill. Waste Management submitted the sole proposal in the amount of $41 per ton of this municipal solid waste. These services will start with when the new transfer station becomes operational on or before July 1, 2024. Incidentally, GFL, who we currently take our municipal solid waste to, did not supply a proposal or put a bid in. We recommend that Waste Management's proposal amount of $41 per ton of MSW be approved. Total cost in 2024 will be $575,000 for 6 months and remaining in the year 2024. And funding is available in org object 14006-52215 waste disposal $575,000. So once again, this is services that we will need once the transfer station becomes operational. We will need somewhere to take our trash. So we did put out an RFP or a bid for these services. Who happens to be right across the street from GFL, and they have to be in this Milwaukee. Muskego. Or Muskego, and, GFL happens to be in Franklin, I believe, or is it, it's one, or maybe it's the opposite way. But, GFL did not submit a bid. $41 is a great price. We were paying about $49 a ton. Just over here at Kestrel Hawk off the Highway 20 and Oak Road, so. And it happens to be the price we're paying right now, so. I think it's a good price. I recommend that, this board approve the contract.
Commissioner Rooney.
I just might add something to the contract that is for a term that starts in around July first and goes to the end of next year, December 31st, 2025, and then there will be 2 additional options to extend. We'll be able to negotiate if they provide good tipping fees, and we'll bring that back to this committee. If not, we could reopen it up for bids again as well, if they're not favorable.
$8 more than what we were at. Thank you. Questions from committee members?
It's GFL and Waste Management who's the bigger, I guess, bigger than town for waste management, is GFL and Waste Management, the 2 bigger,
They are. GFL used to be Advanced. Advanced was bought out by GFL. GFL owns, that one out there. I think they own one, from Pleasant Run and Kenosha. I think they own that one, or is that Waste Management?
Waste Management is in Pheasant Run, which is western.
Yeah.
Kenosha County, and then, Emerald Park is GFL, and Metro is Waste Management, like Ron said, right across the street from one another. There is another landfill in Zion, just south of the border. We had looked at that initially when we brought the options for what we're gonna do with waste management to the common council a few years ago. But we excluded that one because there were some issues that consultably we have with interstate trucking going across the state line and everything, especially if we exercise an option where our employees would be taking the waste there. So we looked at landfills just in this area.
Yeah, those 2 are the biggest around.
thank you.
The good news is they have enough capacity for us probably until all of us are tapped. So,
It's someone else's problem.
I could be tomorrow. Hopefully for the next generation of public works.
Any questions from committee members? Any further questions from?
Actually, I'm sorry. Have you guys ever looked into any other options? I know there's some companies out there floating some options like sorting and burning to create energy. I mean, other than all this money that goes towards transferring the garbage out.
Commissioner Rooney?
Yeah, we've been approached by I'll call them interesting parties that wanted to build a facility where the former Case plant was south of 24th Street. And burn the garbage and create these pellets and use it as waste. None of these, as far as we were concerned, seemed realistic, viable options. I think environmentally, burning of materials is something that's bygone thing in the past. These were not practices that the city or city wanted to get engaged in. We totally support and work with the traditional landfill operations that we've been doing business with for the last several decades. Like when we used to burn solid waste right here, this was an incinerator building. You see, used to have a big smokestack on it, took that down a few years ago. So yeah, this is the landfill, the waste disposal method that we're engaged with. So yeah, we've heard them out and weren't interested in any of the ideas that was the city administrator, the mayor, myself, a couple others that met.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, a motion would be in order. Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Kelly to approve item 0063-24. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is 0058-24, Mr. Fishler.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. The communication is sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer. Submitting change order number 1 to contract 2023-044 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing. AW Wilson Son Incorporated contractor. Staff recommendation that change order number 1 to contract 2023-044 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing. AW Wilson Son Incorporated contractors be approved in the amount of $23,419.86. Funding for this change order is available in the following org object. We have $6,544.86 and 4504057500 DPW asphalt street paving GOB, and $16,875 coming out of 60484575570 storm sewers totaling $23,419.86. No.
As you said, we are submitting change order number 1, and this is a rectifying change order for the 2023 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing project completed by AW Oaks. And the change order is in the amount of $23,419.86. The original contract was approved in the amount of $473,486 even under resolution number 0538-23 on June 6th of last year. This change order will bring the total to $496,905.86. If the committee agrees, we recommend approving this rectifying change order in that amount.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions from committee members?
I'm sorry, I think I missed it. Is it the final, or is it just the first?
This is the final change order. Rectifying change order is, we're rectifying all the differences in quantity and changes in the field and everything else, and this is it. The last one you're gonna see for this project.
Other questions? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Davis, to approve item 0058-24. If no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is 066-24. Mr. Fitchlock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 4 to contract 2022-028. 2022 accessible streets and alleys along contractors incorporated contract. Staff recommendation that change order number 4 to contract 2022-028, 2022 accessible streets and alleys along contractor be approved in the amount of $45,761.18. Funding for this change order is available in org object 45040-57500 DPW concrete street paving general obligation bond. Engineer Muller.
Thank you, Ron. As stated, this is, we're submitting the final rectifying change order number 4 to the above contract in the amount of $45,761.18. Original contract was approved in the amount of $1,774,538.42 under resolution number 0202-22 on April 18th of 2022. This change order 4 brings the contract total to $1,978,332.30. The committee agrees and recommend approving this change order to the contract.
Thank you, Engineer Muller. Any questions from committee members?
Why is, but I know I've seen a couple of change orders, so when you guys are building the budget, when they're building a budget, Do they build in a cushion for when these change orders, happen? Or is like money set aside in case if it does increase? I know sometimes we see a couple of decreases, but a lot of times we see more of the increases than decreases.
Yeah, I mean, every time I do the budget numbers for roadway projects, I don't round down. Just put it that way. I'm always rounding up. There's always gonna be change orders too. I mean, there's always gonna be a rectifying change order. So, you know, projects go up and down. 45,000 is kind of, I don't know, that's that's not the worst I've seen. But it's part of the, you know, part of the industry. It's, we don't have a crystal ball to have, you know exactly how many tons of gravel are gonna go into a street, or, you know, how many square feet of a sidewalk we design off of a relatively accurate, surveyed, you know, AutoCAD drawings. But there's still always a discrepancy here and there, and there's always a loss of materials when it comes to gravel and things like that too. I think this one actually was, they did a lot of undercutting. So when they dug up the road, it was raining a lot at the early parts of, or roads, I should say. This is a multiple site project. You know, so they would excavate up the old road and excavate to sub base, where they start putting the new stuff on. And they would find muck or materials that wouldn't be suitable to build roads on. So they have to excavate down, and then they fill that in with gravel, which is a quantity increase, as opposed, you know, plus the excavation and the gravel going in to fill that void is both our quantity increases, and that's what a lot of this was for this particular project.
And is it too, because I know like a lot of, in like 2020, like a lot of the materials, the prices went up on that. Is that why we're seeing some of these increases as well?
No, this is from 2022, and these would have been the contracted prices for that contract in 2022. We wouldn't, unless, I mean, the project was completed in 2022, we'll just put it that way. So the prices they paid were 2022 prices. The issue that why this is coming out now is there's been some arguing on quantity and things like that, but the prices that they paid were from that year. So.
Commissioner Ready?
Yeah, Madam Chair, also, if there was an issue with insufficient funding, you know, we would talk to the finance director, and we would have to go before finance personnel and ask for a transfer of funds. So, you know, there are monies also typically that are available from the previous year, that maybe don't get spent, so those can be used as well, and Catherine keeps track of that and does that task of carrying over unspent general obligation bond funding to the next year, and then try to use it up. You have to use that up within a finite amount of time, otherwise you face arbitrage penalties. So finance director is really good at keeping track of our accounts and letting us know where we're at. We have units available to check those at any time we want as well. Make sure that we have funding available when we bring these change orders and final payments to this committee.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Seeing none, motion to the mother.
Move to approve, second.
Motion by Alder George, second by Alder Kelly. Approve item 066-24. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is 0061-24. Assistant Commissioner Fritzloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Department of Public Works. Submitting final payment for contract 2023-044 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing, A.W. Oaks and Son Incorporated contract. Staff recommendation that the work completed by A.W. Oaks and Son contractors on contract 2023-044 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract of $496,905.86. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note, contract 2023-011 is authorized under resolution number 0538-23 dated June 6, 2023.
Thank you. Questions from committee members?
Want me to go over?
Oh, I apologize.
That's
Okay.
As assistant commissioner.
Engineer
state-
knowledge.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Of course, I'm just gonna regurgitate numbers anyways. I don't, as Assistant Commissioner Ron stated, this work on contract 2023-044 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing, which is actually an LRIP project, a local roads improvement program that we get money for the DOT. So there is that grant amount of, actually it's just under $160,000 was part of this project, but this was completed by the AW Oaks, the contractor, and they're requesting final payment, final contract amount. After the change order that was just approved 2 items ago, brings this contract total to $496,905.86. I believe everything else is already stated. If the committee agrees, we recommend approving this final payment to the contractor.
Engineer knowledge. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, the motion is in order. Finally.
Vote to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Terry, to approve item 061-24. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
And
Opposed, the motion passes. The next item 0062-24, Assistant Commissioners, Mondo. Maybe I should let Alder Jarrett do this.
Oh, we got a communication sponsored by Alvin Jones on behalf of the city engineers, submitting change order number 1 to contract 2023-011. Franklin Street Reconstruction, Milwaukee General Construction Company Incorporated contractors. Staff recommendation that change order number 1 to contract 2023-011. Franklin Street Reconstruction, Milwaukee General Construction Company Incorporated contractors be approved in the amount of $1,865.80. Fiscal note, funding for this change order is available in org object 60484-57570 storm sewers. It is your moderator.
Thank you. That's just the commissioner. As stated, we are submitting change order number 1, which is a rectifying change order on the above contract in the amount of $1,865.80. Original contract was approved in the amount of $648,781.60 under the resolution 0230-23 of March 21st of last year. This change order brings the contract total to $650,647.40. If the committee agrees, we recommend approving this change order.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Alder.
So on the side, I remember a couple of months ago, you talked about the top boy over at the Kestrel landfill that we had to pay to get it removed. And I feel like topsoil is one of the things here that needs to be paid. Whatever happened with that? Was it moved somewhere? Or is the city selling that topsoil that they took back from the landfill? Or is it the new landfill?
Was that, for the sewer that crossed the site? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm pretty sure you have to
So I
pay-
think what you're referring to over here, if I'm not mistaken, is there was excess material at property that we had purchased from AW Oaks, or Seiko was another Oaks company. We purchased the property for the transportation we built on. That we purchased that property as is, material that was stockpiled on it and all the other goodies that we found underneath, some environmental, some unknown sewers. Yeah, we did purchase that property, when we did the survey and then did the design, we had, we knew there was gonna be some excess material that had to be taken off that site. It didn't need to be, we just left it there and so they could try to reuse that. So that was, something that we negotiated as a contract on this. This is another contract, is Milwaukee General, a different contractor, so they've got suppliers that provide them, topsoil, so they, wherever they get their topsoil from, a landscaping company or what have you, so that's just a different source or whatever. It's, it was material that was ours, we don't stockpile topsoil, we don't stockpile gravel, you know, we don't, it's materials that we just don't stockpile here in DPW, and so we don't have that material available. The only thing we really do provide and have stockpiles of our construction projects, and we bring those to this committee as we purchase castings for manholes, whether sanitary or storm, pay for them out of their various sanitary sewer maintenance funds, stormwater utility, and then we provide those on contracts, but we don't really supply any of the materials to contractors. Sometimes we pre-purchase streetlights, provide them to contractors, so it'll be contractor installed, furnished by the owner, so we really didn't have an opportunity, I guess. But we typically don't furnish topsoil on a project.
So they get one third party.
Correct, yeah, from their supplier.
Thank you.
Questions? The motion is in order. Move to approve. Motion by Alderman Garrett, second by Alderman Davis to approve item 002-24. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is 0065-24. Assistant Commissioner Fritzlock.
Thank you, Madam Chair, of Communications, sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final payment for contract 2023011, Franklin Street Reconstruction, Milwaukee General Construction Company Incorporated, contractors. Staff recommendation that the work completed by Milwaukee General Construction Company Incorporated, contractors on contract 2023011, Franklin Street Reconstruction, be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract of $650,647.40. Final payment to include retained. Just to note, contract 2023011 was authorized under resolution number 0230-23 dated March 21, 2023. Engineer Molitor.
Thank you, Assistant Commissioner. Basically, instead of regurgitating all these numbers, this is basically the final payment for the change order that was just approved in the previous item. If the committee agrees, we recommend approving this final payment.
Thank you. Question? Seeing none, we'll come over. Move to approve. Second. Motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Garrett to approve item 0065-24. Being no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. The next item is 0060-24. Assistant Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communications sponsored by the Chair on behalf of the city engineer. Amending Chapter 94, Article 3, Division 2, Parking Regulations, Section 94-141, no parking zones, Schedule F. Add the following item from Section 1, no parking anytime. Like the Avenue east side from 320 feet north of Glen Street, north 100 feet. Venus Circle both sides from the cul-de-sac to High Street. Delete the following item from Section 8, no parking on school days from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lucky Avenue east side from Glen Street, north 500 feet. Add the following item from Section 8, no parking on school days from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lucky Avenue east side from 70 feet north of Glen Street, north 245 feet. Lucky Avenue east side from 420 feet north of Glen Street, north 100 feet. Staff recommendation to approve the amendments. Mr. Notes, not applicable. City Engineer Molitor.
This is two different items. I met with the, assistant fire chief and the principal for, Luther High School out on Lukey Avenue. And they put that big addition on, I want to say last year, and they have a new entrance for all their activities. That basically was in a, free for parking area, and, they wanted to keep the area right by the doors, free to get emergency vehicles, a place to park. So this, I know there's a lot of weird numbers in here, but trust me, they work out. There's a handicap, parking, couple stalls for that. Then there's a restricted parking area or a no parking area. And then there's, the no parking is by the new entrance. And then it goes back to what it was before, from basically that entrance to the corner of, Lukey and Spring. Nothing changes on the west side of Lukey. That's the first item by the high school. The second item, was brought to me by Alder Peterson. That's in the Venus Circle cul-de-sac. All the property owners, and we've had discussions with all of them. There's basically 3 houses on the cul-de-sac, and then there's 2 houses that aren't really affected, but they also abut that cul-de-sac. There's apartments across the street beyond the fire station. This is right up of High. Venus is that first cul-de-sac, which would be like north and east of Northwestern Avenue. A lot of the people from the apartments are parking on the street and on Venus Circle, because they can, and it's not enforced, alternate side parking, plus it's a cul-de-sac, so, so they, basically what they wanted was they all had driveways, they all had plenty of parking spots for personal visitors. And so they all agreed, and I have emails to prove it, that they want no parking on Venus Circle. What Alder Peterson brought it to me, I told him I would push it through, and that's basically what that one boils down to. And if the committee agrees, I recommend approving this memo as is, and we'll make those changes.
Questions? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett to approve item 0060-24. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our final item this evening is 0077-24. Assistant Commissioner Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the city engineer amending code chapter 94, article 3, division 2, parking regulations. More specifically, section 94-141, no parking zones, schedule F. Add the following item from section 43, no parking from 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Center Street east side from 11th Street to 12th Street. Center Street west side from Carroll Street to 12th Street. Amend the city received municipal code chapter 94, article 3, division 2, parking regulations. More specifically, section 94-143, limited parking zones, schedule G. Add the following item from section 13, 2-hour parking from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Center Street east side from 11th Street to 12th Street. Center Street west side from Carroll Street to 12th Street. Staff recommendation, approve the amendments. City Engineer Molitor.
Thank you, Assistant Commissioner. Basically, this came from, I believe, the mayor's office. And I believe, I'm not 100% certain, I might need assistance from my 2 cohorts. But there's a resident that is running a garbage collection, and he has trailers parked out in here. And then he's also repairing cars, or it might be multiple locations. And I believe the consensus was that we just need to limit parking to 2 hours on the street and no overnight parking. So this kind of was the conglomeration of during the day, setting up a 2-hour parking limit restriction. And then a no overnight parking on Center Street from basically Carroll South, and then on the east side would be from Carroll North, just on the east side. If the committee agrees, we recommend approving these amendments to the municipal code.
Thank you. Ms. Engineer Mullet. Did you wish to speak, Commissioner? Mullet?
No,
Oh, okay, I thought you.
No, sorry about that.
But all right, any questions from committee members?
Do you have anything else to add to that, Commissioner Pittsburgh?
Well, I would say, so this was, John and I happened to be, I think, in our, bi-weekly meeting with the mayor and city administrator. And the mayor, in conjunction with Kelly Reed over at the neighborhood enforcement division, brought this to our attention. We have a house, who's, you can see it on aerial photography, that they are running some kind of a, whatever, they're repairing a vehicle, they're just leaving cars all over the street. It happens to be right next to, I believe, a Baptist church over there that is
I call that.
heavily attended. So, in speaking with the mayor, it was his desire that, we try to do something to, fix that situation through, the parking code. And this is our solution to that.
And hopefully the PD can do some enforcement over there, and I would like to think that can also enforce any violations for a business that is parking repaired vehicles on the street. That's not under DPW's purview, but that's something that they can look into and write orders to address.
Little piece I can add.
Okay.
Not to, this
Pretty
this
clear.
business is operating contrary to the zoning of the area, contrary to a conditional use permit. So this is kind of a multifaceted enforcement effort. Like, they're doing things in the zoning enforcement area, and it just haven't taken all of them, put it that way. So this is just another piece of that. Right down Center Street, here, it's a residential neighborhood, and somebody's operating a business that they're not supposed to do. We tried lots of things, just was part of it.
That wouldn't be so bad, except they don't even try to inspect that their services there on Sunday morning, so the trailers are still parked out front, so parishioners are parking a block away to get to church, so not a good situation. But thank you. Any questions? Further questions?
Yes, because I know there's like apartment building right there. And do we know that general apartment buildings have restrictions on who parks there? And it's just the two. How are we gonna navigate this for folks with visitors or residents that's overnight? Because this is just about this individual, so we're changing parking because this person is not following the regulations, right? So what about the individuals that are around with their multiple vehicles? Where are they parking?
On the north side of Carroll Street, parking is allowed. On the south side, it is not. So the apartment building is on the northwest corner of Carroll and Center. So they have that option. My fear is the trailers and everything else is gonna go there. And we'll be back in a month, and I'll be adding another ordinance change for Carroll Street, but I guess this is the avenue that we were directed to take.
So this is a temporary fix until you can figure out what to do
Well,
with this.
hopefully
additional
it's-
permit.
Hopefully it's a permanent fix. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it can be, or it's enforced. That's kind of the key is, over here. That's the key is enforcement. If we can, get the enforcement, we can, make it difficult for, this person.
So this is the property right here. With all these cars. And And you have additional cars parked here. This is church property. This is church property. This is the church.
Mhm.
I believe this is also church property over
That's
here.
the apartment, yeah, church.
So,
So is, well, so is the, other building right off 11th there too. That's all church.
The Miracle Center.
In which section are you going to be?
So basically from, on this side of the street, from 12th to 11th is 2 hour and no overnight. And from Carroll to, on the west side of the street, from Carroll to 12th, 2 hour parking and no overnight. And on Carroll, which exists right now, is there's only parking allowed on the north side of the street and no parking is allowed on the south side of the street. It's been that way for longer than I've been here. I don't know the reason.
Other questions?
There's driveways, that's what I'm saying, for the residents,
which one?
just looking at all the homes around there, there's driveways for them
Right
to
here?
park their vehicles.
Yeah, that's,
This is his driveway.
I'm not talking about him, I'm talking about the folks around,
yeah.
making sure they have places.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yes. I don't know about the property to just that one right there.
That's why I think that sign needs to be,
Well,
that's the only one that does not have a driveway.
There has to be some, that's my concern for,
No, I completely agree.
Commissioner Rooney?
Yeah, if I may, the costs when they're brought in by the mayor, the alders for these types of things, we're assuming that they're vetting this with the affected parties, so, if it's a parking restriction that we believe needs to be put in for traffic reasons, whether it's time of day to move, AM or PM traffic, or to create space for designated right turn lanes or add a left turn lane. We vet those things and then we reach out to those folks that we think that are affected, so. I am under the assumption, as is my staff, that they've vet with the affected parties, the stakeholders in the neighborhood, and this is what they want. And again, I assume that, I guess if it is something that becomes problematic, certainly it's gonna find its way back to this committee. And there's no reason it can't be amended and changed again. I think to your point is it's just too expansive or whatever, right? I understand that, it is 2024, it is a lot more cars on the road than used to be when we all started driving, many cars per household, so I understand your concern, but I'm assuming that they've talked with the affected parties in there, and this is what they believe is a reasonable solution to the issue, so.
Maybe we could ask it, neighborhood enforcement division to come and speak with Kelly Reed at the council meeting with the city council. I'm assuming this is trying to claim the Indians and possibly property.
Yes, if the chair wanted to hold for separate consideration that. Them speak to that, again, that's not something public is just gonna.
Right, no, I understand. I have a similar property on my street, that's just. I'm guessing they've exhausted all avenues at this point.
They have for years. I mean, it's been going on over a year now. Sometimes they park in the churches, parking lot with their trucks and different vehicles. So it's like they just kind of out of control, so to speak. So it's
We had a situation probably 10+ years ago, just north of State Street on Marquette Street, there's a municipal parking lot on the east side of Marquette Street, just about half a block north of State Street there. And someone was running like a car business and they were using the city's parking lot for the same purpose. Putting the cars over there, well, they brought another one inside. And so we took some action there to do some parking restrictions for that purpose. They actually want to know if they could lease the parking lot from us, and make it their own. So so these things do come up. I think there's a two-headed approach to it. One is try to control some of the parking restrictions so they can't leave the stuff out there. And the other is obviously if they're violating, you know, the zoning ordinance and use of the property, then other departments can, take action, on that, so.
Mhm. And just the thought, putting it out there, thinking about like some other places that have, you know, stickers or something, maybe something, maybe an ordinance, or something at some point in time for like these streets where there's absolutely no parking type thing, the individuals, the homes that need that, maybe some type of sticker so that the CSOs, when they go through, know that this car is permitted, it's not that truck that's there. Right, some type of check and balance, so that an individual is not always getting tickets because they just want to park at home because it's their home.
Yeah, that's, I've been here 24 years, the topic of, issued parking for residents has come up, you know, probably a half a dozen times in 2+ decades of work here. It certainly is something that would come up around, a lot of the high schools, Park High School, or like,
Yeah.
a lot of kids drive to school now, they take up all the parking, you know, you need to be stickered, you know, oh, well, you gotta do parking restrictions to keep, you know, those school kids from parking, but then those parking restrictions apply to everybody.
Yep, and I get the
And-
call for those.
Yeah, but they would not if you had some type of sticker. Now, that's a whole another situation. That's something I think that if the city ever wanted to talk about something like that, that's a broader issue that I think needs a lot of thought brought into it, what that looks like. Again, there's enforcement, there's, you know, there's issuance of those stickers or credentials or privileges. You know, how much does that cost, who administers it and all of that. So I understand that exactly what you're referring to. Like I said, it's been brought up several times. It's never caught any traction in my 24 years here in Public Works. Some alders have tried to do that and just to get any support. It's nothing that we can't look into if a plurality of the common council wanted to do something like that. That's what your Public Works staff is here for. But something that we have in place now.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I was just
but it's a
putting
good
that
question
piece
because
out there
It's
because.
come up before,
Mhm.
rather infrequently, but it's come up.
Any further questions? And that a motion is in order.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Garrett to approve item 0077. That's forward. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. This concludes our agenda. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Not too many members. Thank you. Mr. Richmond. Okay, I'll go later.
You here for DRC?
Yes.
Yeah. You took it up right away.
Oh, I was like.
Oh, I was sorry you come in.
That's okay, no,
Like I
I,
said, you took it, got approved, it was like the first item on the agenda.
well, I appreciate it, thank you, guys.
No one's here to defend it, we just.
Okay. You know, with, yeah, she came after.
I just was
You guys have a great night.
Thank
January is supposed to be.
No, it's.
And I have been like,
Slow time.
Yeah,
You can't park anywhere on Sunday Street.
yeah.
They're on both sides of the street.
And that. No.